What's up, you guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions and why I think they are going to win the NFC North this year. And also, I believe there's a possibility they could make a deep playoff run, or at the minimum, at least advance to the divisional round of the playoffs this year. But you guys got to let me know what you think about that in the comment section. If you enjoy this video, like, subscribe. I haven't uploaded in over a year, so let me know about what your Lions predictions are in the comment section, and let's get right down to it. So picking up where we left off last year, the Lions had a 9-8 record. They were actually playoff contenders for the 7th seed in the NFC wildcard, and no one seen that coming. Lions were off to a really bad start. They came back and won 8 out of their last 10 games, and despite them not making the playoffs, even though they were snubbed by Seattle, we still have to give them credit. The Lions made a statement in that final game where Aaron Rodgers was still a Packer. They marched into Lambeau Field and they bit off kneecaps. However, if we take a look at the Lions and the games that they lost, most of the games were just by a couple of points. You got the Week 1 loss against the Eagles, who actually were the NFC champions. So you could say last year they were the best team in the NFC, and the Lions only lost by 3 points. You look again, they had that game against Seattle a few weeks later, and they lost by 3 points. The defense allowed too many points to be given up. The offense was going crazy. For Goff and the offense to put up 45 points against the Seahawks, that's impressive. You know, we got another game against the Dolphins, and they only lost by 4 points that game. Again, these are all close games where I feel like if the defense was making up in some areas, Detroit could easily come away with a few extra wins, and that pushes them further into the chance of getting to the playoffs, further the chances of them winning their division. I mean, you even look at their game against the Bills, who were arguably one of the favored to win the Super Bowls last year. And again, this is on Thanksgiving, and the Lions, they only lose by 3 points. You know, the Bills have to beat them by a field goal. I mean, it's crazy to think about that. Like I said, there are a few games where the Lions could have caught the W last season. They were very close games already. And when Jared Goff and the offense is putting up 45 points, 37 points, 31 points, you can't ask the quarterback from the offense to be any more productive than that. If you're putting up 45 points and the other team is still winning the game, there's really only one place that we can put blame. And that was mainly because of the defense, in my opinion. Lions are a top 10 offense, if you ask me. I think Jared Goff is a top 10 quarterback. Some people might not agree with that, but again, I think he's going to demonstrate what he can still do even at his age this coming up season. And we cannot forget, Jared Goff has been to the Super Bowl. He took the Rams to the Super Bowl. However, despite the production we seen last season from the Lions offensively, I still do have some concerns. A big one's going to come from that running back department, especially because we know in the offseason, Detroit lost Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift, and now their starting running back is going to be the rookie Jahmyr Gibbs, who they picked up in the 2023 draft. And I'm not saying Jahmyr Gibbs can't be that guy, but I do believe this season, with Jahmyr Gibbs as starting running back, I think Detroit is going to realize what Jamal Williams actually brought to the table. Something else that's also somewhat concerning when it comes to Detroit's offense, in my opinion, is the receiving corps. We know in the offseason, Detroit traded DJ Chark Jr. and TJ Hawkinson, and those were both vital weapons to Jared Goff. But the good news is Jared Goff still does have targets in Amon-Ra St. Brown, Marvin Jones. Sam Laporta was just picked up in the 2023 draft. He was out of Iowa, and I'm actually excited to see what he can do this year. I think that he's going to become a frequent target for Goff, and I think they're going to have great chemistry the more they play over time. Also, we can't forget about Khalif Raymond. I know he's no Justin Jefferson, but he is a decent second receiver. And in addition to that, Ben Johnson being the offensive coordinator gives me even more hope that the offense this season is going to be prosperous. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, talking about the defense, I don't like the fact that we lost Jeffrey Okudah in the offseason. However, I do think this is the year where Aiden Hutchinson becomes the new face of the Lions defense, and I think assisting him is going to be James Houston. He's somebody I'm going to be watching out for. He had 8 sacks last year and only played in 7 games. And to add in addition to that, We drafted linebacker Jack Campbell out of Iowa in his 2021 season. He had 143 tackles. In his 2022 season, he had 128 tackles. So I'm really curious to see what he can do to help spike this defense, help make improvements. We got safety Brian Branch out of Alabama. We got Broderick Martin. He's a defensive tackle out of Western Kentucky. We got Kirby Joseph. So there were a lot of new additions that the Lions made to the defense this offseason, and I really think we're going to see some improvements. And with the moves that the Lions made this offseason, I think it's safe to say that our defense is going to improve. There's a possibility we could go from being one of the worst defenses last year to this year being a top 15, possibly even top 10 defense. You have to let me know what you think about that in the comment section. And that's just from the draft aspect of it. Also, Detroit did a fairly good job at retaining some of their free agents. The biggest signing, in my opinion, was probably them deciding to keep Cameron Sutton at cornerback. Another big move that they made was re-signing Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They still have David Montgomery at running back, just in case the whole Jahmyr Gibbs situation doesn't pan out like they want it to. So the Lions have been making moves this offseason, and I can't wait to see the progress that they make. Also, quickly, I just wanted to make a brief prediction and run through Detroit's schedule. In week 1, I have them losing to Kansas City. In week 2, I have them losing to Seattle as well. In week 3, I have them winning against Atlanta. In week 4, I have them winning against the Packers. In week 5, I also having them defeating the Panthers. In week 6, I believe they'll overcome the Buccaneers as well. In week 7, I believe that's where we're going to see our third loss, and the Ravens are going to defeat us. In week 8, I think we're going to beat the Raiders. In week 9, the Chargers and the Lions, that's going to be a shootout. That could go either way, but I want to give it to Detroit. I really would like to give that to Detroit. And then we have the Bears and the Lions, and I believe this is kind of going to be one of those series where Detroit's going to win one, Chicago's going to win one. So I'm going to give Detroit a loss here. I believe within the whole love era of the Packers, I think this season in the NFC North, Detroit is going to be very dominant, especially when they're at Lambeau Field. So I'm going to go ahead and give Detroit another win. Detroit versus the Saints. Again, that's going to be another good game, but I'm going to go Lions. Now this is the second game where the Lions and the Bears will play, and this one I gave the last one to Chicago. So I would like to see this series, if Detroit doesn't win both, at least wins half of it. So I'm going to give Detroit the second win over Chicago. I'm going to give them a loss against the Broncos just because I think this year the moves the Broncos have made in the offseason, they're probably going to be a playoff contender. I would be shocked if they had a repeat of last year. When it comes to the Lions and the Vikings, this is one of those divisional opponents. I think the Lions, again, are going to be similar to the Green Bay situation, and I think they are going to win both of their games against the Vikings. And then I also have them losing against the Cowboys. So in total, I have the Lions going 11-6. I see them winning that division. I see them advancing to the playoffs. And I also see them winning the wild card game. But you have to let me know what you think about this in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe. I also think that the Bears are going to come in the second seed in the NFC North. I think they're going to sneak into that 7th seed spot in the wild card and get that last playoff spot. But again, I'll be talking about that in my next video. And again, if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe. I got a lot more sports content coming. And you guys have a great night. Thanks.